I am so excited today. Oh, I can hardly stand myself. I have so many wonderful things to share with you and something especially awesome. It's really hot in here, so I think next time I'm gonna bring a fan. Super happy you guys are here. Gals, excuse me. You're not guys, you're gals. I am super excited. I have so many, I have something incredible to share with you and many other wonderful things. A super, super fun Shabbat today. Hadassah is here with me today in the studio. We are broadcasting live from a public library in North Idaho. And this is kind of what I do, is I find where I can and I do what I can, wherever I am. So I felt mikvahed by the rock this week and I am just super excited. I can't say that enough, I guess. Sorry. To share with you what I have, some insight that I have been given. So anyway, so today it is snowing outside. It is frightfully cold, and my family, Isaac and Maggie, are back at the house, at the cabin, and my daughter Hadassah is here with me. So today we are going to go through my little prezi that I have worked on all week long, and I think this is a fabulous way for me to do this show because it actually allows me to really hone it in throughout the week, and so then my Shabbat is a lot more restful. So I'm learning how to do this. All right, so we're going to get started today. Today is the Gregorian date. It's the 20th, right? I put that on in the middle of the night sometime this week, but I think it's the 20th. The Hebrew date, according to the biblical calendar date, it is the second day of the 11th month in the year 6017 from creation. Yes, so we are screaming to the end of the year, Yahweh's year. And we just celebrated a new moon just 2 nights ago. They saw it from Israel. I think it was Thursday. They saw the new moon from Israel. So we count according to the scriptures. We are supposed to observe the months. Observe means that you have to see something in the sky. You actually have to see something so you can see a sliver. And it's a beautiful teaching. We'll do it later at Rosh Hashanah. We'll go through the calendar at Rosh Hashanah. But for now, today we have, we're on our way to Purim. So there's some things we're going to look at today in regards to Purim, but also a few other things. We have Purim countdown right here. It's 44 days till Purim. Now, Purim is a 2-day event. You can celebrate Purim on the day. You can celebrate Shushan Purim. So whenever a feast falls, well, how do I say it? Whenever I have an opportunity or a choice between creating a big feast on Shabbat or Sunday, I always choose Sunday because I want to be able to rest on Shabbat if possible. And feast days are awesome, and I love them, but they are a lot of work. So some of the feasts in there, I know he says on a couple, you may cook and, you may make food on this day, but you may do nothing else. So, but for some of the feasts, that is okay. But oh man, if I have a choice, I will do it on Sunday. So this is what we're doing. We're doing Purim on Shushan Purim, which is the Sunday. We are going to go through my happy, hippie Hebrew girl variety show prezi here. So I hope you can see this. Shabbat Shalom, ladies. And I want to invite... blah, blah, blah. Oh, I've prayed, but Yehovah Elohim, give me your words. Put your Ruach HaKodesh into this room, fill it up so that I'm just swimming in the presence of you here in this public library where there is all kinds of things happening. But in this room, it is yours. I am here to speak what you have laid on my heart this week, and we are here as a family, as lots of ladies and their children and their families coming together to worship you today and to think about you and consider the things that you have said, and to worship together and raise our voice in one accord to say, Yehovah Elohim, we are yours, and we want to follow you. We want to do it in the way that Yahshua taught us how to do it, full of the Ruach HaKodesh. So just stay here, Papa. Don't go anywhere. Of course he won't. All right. So my show here, my Happy Hippie Hebrew Girl show, is dedicated to doing a couple things. And foremost, absolutely, I want to help you turn your head knowledge into heart knowledge. That's we have a lot of teachers doing a yak thing. They're yakking and they are teaching, and all they're doing is giving you head knowledge. And we need some of that, absolutely. And some of it is very, very good, and some of it is not so good. But we have got to, at some point, stop, inputting up here and actually do what we have learned. And so that's what I want to do, is help you know the how. So here's the what, and I want you to know the how, and because we have to apply it. And I want you to look at this verse. James 2:24 says, "We please Yehovah by what we do, and not only by what we believe." So the teachers, the yakking, talking heads is what I call them, they are trying to help change your belief, which is you have to do some of that so you can walk out the correct belief, right? But the point is to walk it out. The point is not to just have it in your head and sit there. The point is to do something about it. And also, I love this verse in Psalms 119:33. It says, "Just tell me what to do, and I will do it." Yehovah. As long as I live, I'll wholeheartedly obey. Way cool. All right. I'm also a show that is dedicated to help lightening you up, lightening this movement up. It's way too serious, I think. And also to give you permission to walk this rhythm out with beauty, and to walk as an Ezer kenegdos. We talked about that last week. We'll talk much more about it at the convention. Absolutely. And I also want to show you what repentance looks like on a woman. Okay. All right. Your host is me, Rebecca Kaha Bat Yehovah. My name is Rebecca Kaha Yehovah, excuse me. I am the Happy Hippie Hebrew Girl. A long time ago, I used to be known on the mountain as the Mountain Hippie Hebrew Girl, so I just kind of changed it just a bit. I've been a wife for almost 20 years. I've been a mother for almost 18 years. I have been a Melchizedek priest for 10 years, over 10 years. I've been executive director of Yeshiva Ministries for 5 years. And there is a slew of other things that I have been in the past but I'm not giving you my resume. I'm just giving you a little idea of who I am, so that if you're new to this show, you can look and you can say, oh, okay, this is somebody who might have something to share with me. Okay. And I know that I won't make everyone happy, and frankly, I'm okay with that. Sometimes it's easier than others, but I'm truly okay with that. All right, I was looking for a picture to put here, and I just kind of fell in love with this sculpture. I don't know, it was just super cool. So it's probably, I don't know what it is. It's probably big, and I hope not, but I just fell in love with her. I just thought she was so, tranquil. But anyway, Deep Thoughts with Rebecca. This is a new section that I'm adding to my show. So Deep Thoughts with Rebecca, and I have 3 thoughts for today. And as you notice, I am kind of going to go somewhat pretty fast today. I'm going to be organized today because I have a lot to cover. And I want you to also know that I absolutely love those little hearts that go across the screen. So if you like something I say, please put the hearts across the screen. All right. 3 thoughts. Oh, I get in trouble for the way that I do 3s. 3, this is how you sign in sign language. You sign it with this. So, this is how I used to be an interpreter for the deaf. So 3. All right. So number 1, I had an epiphany last Sunday. My husband took me out to go see The Post, the movie The Post. And I wanted to see, we do not go to movies hardly at all, rarely watch a movie at home on DVD. We don't have TV, we don't have any of that influence. But I saw a trailer to this, and I really wanted to go see it because it's about this woman that is kind of placed in a position and that she never really asked for, and she's learning to find her voice. She's learning to find her courage to do something pretty hard based on conviction. So I wanted to go see it. So we did. Of course, we sat in the hallway for all the previews. So don't even get me started. The previews are horrible. But anyway, afterwards I had this epiphany, and I did a little podcast in the car afterwards, and I have that uploaded to our website, or not to our website, to our YouTube channel. I have a link here on the ladies group if you want to hear it. It's about a 20-minute little rant on my epiphany. But basically, I'm going to put it in a nutshell just to let you know what the epiphany was. I feel like Yehovah is, this is the end of the age, and we're screaming up to the end of the age. And in order for Yehovah to get his people to make a choice, for them to get off the fence. So at some point, you're either hot or you're cold. You're either one way or the other. And he needs people to make a choice. He needs people to make a decision. And so what he is going to do, I feel like one of the most incredible ways for him to do this is to wake up the Ezer kenegdos. So that we talked last week about the Ezer kenegdos of women, moms, wives, women in the community, old, young, it doesn't matter. He's waking you up to follow him. And so what you're going to be is a dividing factor in your home, in your community, in your extended family. You are going to follow Yehovah at all costs, and by doing that, you're going to force people into a choice. And so this was my epiphany. It was like, wow, because what I'm seeing is every day there is like a new lady coming into, some contact with me, and they're waking up. And not always alone. I mean, there's ladies with their husbands doing this, or, beside their husbands, or with somebody else, but they're waking up. And so I really believe that Papa needs you to be that Ezer kenegdo that he created you to be, to like Yahshua said, and come to bring peace, but a sword to divide. So as the end of the age is screaming down, I believe that the Ezers are going to help in that process of forcing people to choose. So just hold on to Papa's hand. Go listen to my little radio, or my podcast, basically. I can't quite figure out how to do podcasts, so I uploaded just an audio version. So anyway, number 2 is I wanted to give you a vision of what family you and I are invited into. So this last week, I know some of you saw from last week's show, there was a lady who was pretty rude and pretty mean about commenting on the show. But I was thinking about it, and let me just read this. Sometimes it feels like the mishpah, or the family that calls themselves part of the family of Yehovah or of Yahshua, it just doesn't feel like a good family. And I know a lot of you probably identify with this and can understand what I'm saying here. And I'm going to suggest that they are without the new love of Yahshua, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I know that for me, I don't want to spend eternity with people that are mean, and we won't have to, because those mean people are not going to be, sitting at the great wedding feast in front of the king. So I just want to remind you about the family that you're actually invited into. For me, I had to a long time ago, I had to get back to what mishpah, if you want to say, am I really part of? And I had to get back to go to the original family. If there's no one else, it's Elohim and me. And I had to see them as a family. You have a father, and you have a son, and you have a mother. You have the Ruach HaKodesh as a mother. And I know I haven't unpacked that yet for you, and I know some of you already understand it, but this is not the show where I'm going to unpack it. But I really saw in vision one day this family that loves each other so much that they would give everything for each other. And I saw myself as being invited into this kind of family, to be one with them like they are one with each other. And when I saw how much they love each other, then I was able to see the invitation that they have for me to be a part of their family and to experience that kind of love. For me, it blew my mind. And at that point, I didn't need just any old mishpah. I had the family. And now I know it's a lot more fun with a lot of family. And I feel for Yehovah as he tries to bring his family together and get people, healed from their stiff-neckedness and healed from their rudeness and all that stuff, and get the love of Yahshua into them so that the family can be a happy family. That's the point. Because a happy family is a great family to be a part of. But I just wanted to encourage you that, if you feel alone, there is a family that you are invited into that doesn't go away. It is there all the time, whether there is anyone else or not, and that family loves you so much. They are so for you, and they will fight for you. And another thing I wanted to share with you is I have a little song for you, and I'm going to play just a few verses of it, but I think you're going to like it. Because this is how I felt many, many years ago. I've always kind of been somebody who wanted to, I looked at Yehovah as one who has a heart. I've always seen him as having a heart. And I always thought, people are so hard on his heart that I wanted him to like to be with me. Does that ring any bells with it? Do you feel like that? Like, I wanted him to be happy when he was in my presence. I wanted him to want to be with me. I wanted him to like me. Okay, grab this. It's like and love are different. It's one thing to love someone. I can love someone with Yeshua's type love, but that doesn't mean that I like them. That doesn't mean I want to hang out with them, or they would be the person that I call to go out to, tea with. It's like, but I wanted Papa to see that in me. I wanted him, when his eyes roam to and fro over the earth, when his heart and his soul needed to rest in someone's company, I wanted him to see me, and I wanted him to come and be with me. I wanted to make his heart happy. So let me just play. I want to see if I can play this song. It's called by Wayne Watson. It's, I don't know, see that CD? It is super old. This is super old CD. I think I bought it in the 80s. I don't know, maybe the early 90s, but it's called Wouldn't That Be Something? Isn't that cool? I love that song. That's a song that a long time ago when I was like, I've always been passionate about the King. I've always been passionate about Papa, but didn't know them very well. Didn't know their names and stuff, but I've learned differently. But I think that the heart of so many, so many people that sing about him and whatnot, they just have some really, I just love their music. I just have to change a little bit, and then I can sing along. So I hope that you consider what kind of friend you are to Elohim. Do they want to come hang out with you? Do they want to be with you? Are you inviting their presence? Do they want to hang out on your couch with you? If they wanted to be in a place where their heart was taken care of, are you that person? Would they see you and say, wow, I'm going to look over the crowd because I want to be with her, Yeah, that's so what I want. Okay, then my final thought for today is, and this is a little bit of a long one because this is part of what I was, this is what I was super excited about this week to share with you. So, number 3. We will be known by our love. Okay, so his people will be known by our love. Okay, John 13:35 says, "A new commandment I give to you, love one another as I have loved you. So also you must love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." Okay, so we have to look at what the word new means. All right, and this is very, very important because when I was a Christian, this whole thing was, basically taught to say, see, Yeshua or Jesus brought a new commandment, therefore it does away with all the other ones, right? Well, in actuality, no, it doesn't mean this at all. So we have to unpack the word new. All right, so you might want to pen and paper. These slides will be available to you later, so you don't have to. And you can go up close to them and see them if you can't see them right here. But let's look at this word new. I think it's this so incredible what it actually means. And it has huge connotations, huge meaning for our life as priests of Yeshua. So it's Strong's 2537. All right, and the word new is the word kainos. Kainos, it's Greek. I'm looking at the original word in Greek. I know that you can find this in the Hebrew because they have Matthew Shem Tov. Was it Shem Tov Hebrew Matthew? I just spaced it. But anyway, they have found Matthew, the book of Matthew, in Hebrew. The original Matthew was written in Hebrew. They found that now. Anyway, but I'm going to look at the Greek right here because that was real handy to me. So we're going to look at the word new here. And this word used in that text that says a new commandment I give unto you, it means new as in new in freshness. It means, it's not meaning completely different, but new in quality, or new in, it's not found exactly like this before. That's what it means. It's new in freshness. It's not found exactly like this before. In one of the Greek lexicons, it says that it means of a new kind, or it's unprecedented, or it's uncommon, it's recently made, it's unheard of. This is what the word new means in that context. So did Yahshua make a brand new thing? No, he did not. He made a new in quality type of love. All right? So he commanded us to live a new in quality love. All right? So it's not a new commandment that he gave us. It's a new in quality type love. Never heard of before. It's so wonderful that it's the same sort of thing, but it's new in quality. Awesome. So the question should become then, how do we get this new in quality type love, right? If we have to live it, if this is the kind of love that he wants in our hearts, how do we live it? Well, I am going to just come straight out and be honest with you. And I know that some of you may not track with me here, and it may be brand new news to some of you. Some of you are already understanding some of this Melchizedek order versus Levitical order thing, but I'm not going to go into it in depth right now. What I'm going to go into is this. I'm going to show you how it works in this understanding of love. Okay. So getting this kind of love has everything to do with the change in priesthoods. All right. And, I don't know if you've read Hebrews, I hope you have, but if it hasn't made sense to you before, in that light of the Melchizedek order, in the light of the Melchizedek, the royal priesthood order, it will totally make sense what Shaul is trying to unpack for the people of his day and for us. So let's look here. I want you to watch how Yahshua connects this new in quality love to a new time and a new audience. All right? This is truly amazing. I'm just so stoked. I'm so blown away. Okay. The new in John, the verse that we just read, John 13:35, has a synonym found in Luke 5:38. All right? And it's the parable where he's talking about the wineskins. So the new wineskins versus the old wineskins. This, my friend, is an incredible, extremely important parable. Not that everything he said wasn't important and incredibly beautiful and deep, but this one, with the eyes of the Levitical and the Melchizedek understanding, this is totally going to blow you out of the water. Okay, just for starters, we're going to see how many times the word new is in this story. And you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He said, Yahshua uses the word new in this verse 8 times. Therefore, not only is there emphasis being made on the word new, but new is now identified with the number 8. And number 8 means what? It means new, as a new time, restoration kind of thing. All right, let's read it. He also spoke a parable to them. No man takes a piece of cloth out of a new garment and sews it onto an old garment. He will have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will be incompatible with the old. Likewise, no man puts new wine into old wineskins. The new wine will burst the inflexible old wineskins. The wine will pour out, and the wineskins will be destroyed. New wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Furthermore, no man having, this is the part of this verse that really blew me away. Listen to this. We'll unpack this, don't worry. But listen to this part of the verse. Furthermore, no man having drunk old wine immediately desires new wine, because he claims the old wine is better. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, let's unpack this a bit. We're going to unpack it. All right, the new that is in the parable of the wineskins is the word new it's 3501. It's Strong's number 3501. It is also an adjective. It is the word neos. It also means, it's amazing. Okay, it means young. It means fresh. It means new on the scene. It means new in time. All right, as in contrast to its near synonym, kainos, which we just talked about as in new in quality. So here you have two words of new, one meaning new in quality, the new commandment that I give unto you, new in quality, the new commandment I give unto you, love one another. The new commandment that Yahshua gave was new in quality. And then you see the parable that he talks about with the wineskins, and the word new he uses in there 8 times. That new is new on the scene, new in time, young, youthful, fresh. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. Okay, so we're going to look at it in the light of the Melchizedek versus Levitical order, okay? The new order, the Melchizedek order, the order that Yahshua was raised high priest and king over, the high priest Kohen Gadol over, is the new wine, and it will shatter people who have had the old order in them. Do you hear that? Those who will want the new wine, this is another observation that is pretty incredible there. Those that will want the new wine of Yahshua are the people who have not tasted the old wine, the young, the fresh, and the pliable hearts. Those people are going to want the new wine of Yahshua. People who have the old wine, their old wineskins, and they have been filled with the old wine, they're not going to want the new wine. They're brittle, they're old. Those wineskins are old, and if you put the new wine in, they would bust. All right? I also believe very strongly that miracles do happen. The scripture is full of them, and Yahshua said all things are possible with Yehovah. So I believe he can take an old wineskin and he can make it new again, absolutely. But that will be an exception. I truly believe that will be the exception. Okay, so wow, in context we have Yahshua cleansed. In the lineup of the scriptures and the verses there, you read the whole thing to get the context of it. Yahshua cleansed his house of sin right before he talked about this new kind of love. Did you realize this? It's amazing. So it was the day before Passover, and he's up in the upper room, and he is going to be sacrificed the next day. And he cleans his house, because this is what we do for unleavened bread, right? We clean our house of leaven. He was doing that with his house. He was cleaning his house of leaven, which was Judas. And he was talking about this kind of love right after he cleansed his house. So Judas, one of the 12, I believe, this was actually Isaac's, something that he saw when we looked at this yesterday, that Judas couldn't handle the new wine being put into his old wineskin, and he left. All right, so are you a Judas? Do you have a brittle heart who wants the old wine of the Levitical order? Or is your heart supple and young and wanting with all your heart the new wine of Yeshua's Melchizedek order? Look at this. He was talking about new in time, new in quality, for a new audience. This, I think, ladies, explains the meanness and the rudeness and we have all dysfunction, honestly, in the Messianic movement, in the Hebrew roots movement. And I don't know, about you, but I have done this long enough to know that there's a spirit there that I don't like, that doesn't feel right. It just goes against everything that I know. It is not love. And I couldn't believe when I saw this. It blew me away, because I've never understood the wineskin parable. But in the light of the Melchizedek versus Levitical order, all of a sudden it came together. I understood what he was talking about, and he was telling it in a parable so that people who have eyes to see and ears to hear would hear it. So Yahshua was bringing a new thing at a new time for a new audience. That's what that parable is about. So what Yahshua was saying is that there will be a new time with a new audience, the new wineskin of a new group of people operating in the understanding of his superior Melchizedek priesthood. Can I get loves? Oh my gosh. I am so excited about this. All right. He is saying that in these people there will be a new in quality love as contrasted with the old wineskin of the old or dead priesthood that produces brittle hearts. And he says that his Talmudim, his disciples, will be known by this love, this new in quality, never before seen love. All right? He says, if you don't know, by their fruits you will know. So my question is, where are they? All right, I think I can see through somebody at this point, after all that we've been through with the Levitical spirit set against us, and the pain and the heartache and the Torah thumping and all this stuff. I don't know if you've experienced it, but I have, and if you have, I sympathize with you. I am finding in this women's group that there are a lot of you in this women's group that have it. You are supple, you have hearts that are soft, you are young, you are fresh, and you desire so much to have Yahshua in you and to be doing what Yahshua and Yehovah ask us to do. And you are getting the new wine of his new order. And you are rejecting the rabbinical nonsense, the Levitical order, the Messianic Judaism, Messianic Hebrew roots, all that stuff is just another man-made religion, and you're rejecting it. It's awesome. You are embracing and wanting to know more about and learn about the Melchizedek order, which is, frankly, the only priesthood order that is available to you. And I'm going to unpack that during Shavuot for sure. I'm working on, I've got lots of things now. I've got a graph that's 12 feet long that you can order that will walk you through graphically. It'll show you how this change happened. There's books out there, is a book out there that you can look at. It has so many references, and you can look at the scriptures, and it will unpack this for you, and you will have new, fresh eyes to look at the scriptures with, and you will see this incredible story and how Yahshua is the high priest and king in this order, how it does away with the Levitical order. And this is what I'm here to teach. This is what I'm here to show you how to walk out. And I want to this week, I just got my kahunas back. I got my courage back, and I was like, this is exactly what Yahshua was talking about. Why would I teach anything else? Why would I cater to anyone else who, is living in this in the Levitical mindset? They are hard-hearted. They are stiff-necked. They are Torah-thumping. They hurt you. And they don't have the love of Yahshua. And I want to have the love of Yahshua in me, and I want to preach that. I want to preach the good news of this incredible priesthood. And so this wineskin thing was it's just an incredible thing to look at through these eyes. So looking deeper into the command, I just want to show you this a little bit more. In John 13:34, he says, I'm also giving you a new commandment, love one another, just like we talked about. The word new there means new in quality. And then he goes on to say, just as I have loved you, love one another. All right, so how did Yahshua love them? Well, there are so many ways that he loved them, but one of the ways that he loved them is, remember when he said, I have come only, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Remember that? All right, so the new wineskins are the lost sheep of Israel. They are the scattered. That's us. That's the 10 tribes that were sent into the nations, They are the one new man. This is the wineskins that he was talking about. And this is who he was going after. He didn't come for Judah. That's what he said. He said, I came only to the house of Israel, the lost sheep. That would be Ephraim. That's the 10 tribes, right? The ones that were scattered and lost among the nations. That's us. Okay, so the one new man, it ain't the people with a Levitical mindset, ladies, whose love is not Yeshua's kind of love. I got a typo there. Our Rabbi Yeshua is telling us to love others by going to the lost house of Israel like he did. This is why I do what I do, is like I'm trying to find the scattered. I'm trying to find the scattered who have supple, young hearts, who are wanting so much this new love, new wine to be put in them. I'm not searching for the hard-hearted, stiff-necked old wineskins. I'm looking for what Yeshua was looking for. In Matthew 6:31-33, he says, "So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them." But what does he say in the very next breath? This is like a formula. This is a formula for your life. I absolutely hang on this all the time. Sometimes I re-audit myself. I'm like, why am I up at 2:30 in the morning? Why am I doing this? Any woman in her right mind would, in our situation, would be going to get a job to pay the bills. But I know I'm hanging on this because Yeshua has a formula. It says, you want clothes, you want, food on your table, you want shelter, then this is what you do. Seek first his kingdom and his right doings, or his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So not only will you get his kingdom, but you also get all the other things. And I just wanted to unpack this just for a sec. His kingdom, what is his kingdom? A king has a kingdom. A kingdom is people. It's people. It's not just kingdom treasures like truths and knowledge and understanding and beliefs. This is people. So he's saying, if you want these things that your heavenly Father knows that you need, then seek first his kingdom. Seek first his people. Seek first the scattered. Seek first the lost sheep of Israel, the 10 tribes. So in conclusion, on this third, what did I call it? Deep Thoughts by Rebecca. I suggest to you that you will know who is operating in the dead priesthood of the Levitical mindset and who is operating in the new Melchizedek priesthood by the quality of their love. This is not my words. This is Yeshua's words. He said it himself. He's giving a new in quality type love. All right. Woo! I'm just blown away by that. So if you're just joining us right now, you can go ahead. I'm going to tell you how to get to this Prezi later on. So all these slides are going to be yours to go through and to look through, and you'll have them later, okay? I'd like to again invite you to subscribe to our e-newsletters, kind of random, but you can go to teshuvaministries.com, teshuva with an H. If you don't have the H, you'll go somewhere else. Go there, subscribe to our e-newsletters. You'll get other stuff that you don't see otherwise. Also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. I post videos about every week, and I've got lots more coming. All right, for the next few shows, next Shabbat, we're going to talk about feasting within your means and situation, as well as sustainable traditions. So we're going to go through the Avinu prayer, just like we did last week. It's the Lord's Prayer, and we're just going to say it together. Okay, I prayed at the beginning, but let's do this together. We're going to do Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yit Kadesh Shimcha V'yit Barak Melchutcha V'yit Barak Melchutcha. That means, may your kingdom be blessed. Retzencha yiheye eswi basha mayim uva aretz. So this means your will shall be done in heaven and on earth. V'titein lachmenu timidit means give us our bread continually. Umehol lanu chatotenu ka'asher. Forgive the debt of our sins. Anachnu mochalim. Oh, I love that. Mochalim. Anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. as we forgive the debt of those who sin against us or who wrong us. Vial tivinu lidei nison. Do not bring us into the hands of a test. And the last part of the Lord's Prayer, the prayer that Yahshua taught us to say, is Vishom Reinu Mikol Ra. Protect us from all evil or peril. Yeah. Learning the prayer that Yahshua, our rabbi, taught us to pray in the language that he prayed it in, learning what it actually says. That's where it ends. It doesn't have the last part, that kind of doxology part. That was not something that he taught us to pray, so we don't say that part. Now, you notice in the prayer I had a little bit in green. It was called Sanctify the Name. It was the part where it talked about sanctifying the name. So this is really important to do, and I know I covered this a little bit last week. Here's a book that you can get that kind of unpacks this prayer for you. But how do you sanctify the name? There are 3 ways. One is to proclaim his name, as in say it, as in use it. Number 2, you can exalt his name or bless it. And you can do good deeds in his name, showing his character through living through you. So one of the ways that I want you to, let me read this verse here. And in very deed for this cause have I raised you up, to show in you my power, and that my name or my character may be declared or sanctified throughout all the earth. Exodus 9:16. That was the point of the whole thing. To call Israel out was to put his name in them so that he could be sanctified, so they could sanctify his name throughout the whole earth, right? Okay, so this is where you've got to practice it, right? So to just say, I want to sanctify the name is not enough. You're going to praise his name by sharing with us. This is, sharing with us a story that blesses his name. That you're going to give credit to him for what happened to you, and you're going to tell us your story. This is how we praise his name. I mean, it's one thing to just say, praise Yahweh, but for what? For what? And so I'm going to challenge you to be specific and not just generics. I don't want generics. I don't want something that says, well, when I was 3 years old, blah, 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 blah. I want something that happened this last week. We've got to start remembering what Yehovah has done for us and praise him in the time, at that moment. We got to practice that, because life gets a hold of us and we go on to other things and we forget. And John Eldridge says our worst enemy is forgetfulness. So I want to encourage you to remember, and in so doing, you encourage other people by sharing, okay? I have something very, very special to show you today. It's a show and tell. It is the Purim doll. Okay, Hadassah, you want to come? Hadassah, come hold this for me. All right. So this is something that I actually sell, but I am going to share this with you so you can make this at home with your other way, Hadassah. There you go. I have cords everywhere. Lights, cords, the whole thing. Maybe I'll take a picture and show you how this setup looks. Here's Hadassah. You say hi? Okay, Hadassah's going to hold this. All right. So Purim is about preparing to meet the king at the heart of it. Purim is not about looking like Mardi Gras. Purim is not about looking like Halloween. So this is why a lot of people have a problem with Purim and Hanukkah, is because the way that those festivals have become, paganism has really infiltrated them. All right. So part of the job of a Melchizedek priest is to restore. So we need to restore what is true about these two festivals, and all of them for that matter. But at the heart of Purim is learning how to prepare to come before your king. So in order to help my kids understand how to do that, I created a Purim doll. Now, this is your, how do you say it? Like your paper doll? All right, so I operate in a lot of freedom, ladies. So I'm going to use paper dolls to help explain to my children what Purim is about. So basically you have, let's see if we can show it. Okay, you have, they're all put on here with Velcro, so you can take them off and on. It's kind of difficult. You have to be careful. You'll rip things. But you have a little Velcro right here by the heart. So we start with the black heart, right? But we change out a black heart for a heart of flesh, right? That's what he promised in the new contract, the new covenant. And then remember how Yahshua says that the law and the prophets hang on these things? What things did he say they hang on? On love, right? And the first command is love Yehovah with all our heart, all our soul, our mind, all our strength. And then we love others, right? All the law and the prophets hang on these two things. And these things are coming from the shoulders. So your arms they're from your extensions of your shoulders. So that's what I have here is on your shoulders. You have love. Love Yahweh, love others. And everything else hangs on them, on the shoulders, on those two things, right? So then I have this beautiful dress, right, Hadassah? This is the glory, the glitter, the glory of Yehovah, which we'll talk about in a second real quick. But this is the dress. And this dress, I have, can you just hold that, Hadassah, for me? Just go ahead and hold it on. Yeah. So this is the dress, the white dress, the white garment that you get into the wedding feast with, right? And then this is the glory of Yehovah put over it, so it shimmers and glows. And this is whoops, sorry. I'm going to read to you just a little section here that I wrote. We get this dress during the process of the spring feasts. Our dirty dress becomes white as snow by being washed in the blood of the Lamb. And then we eat of Yahshua during the unleavened bread, which gets his ability to love and obey into us so that we become perfect like him. Once we have him in us, we begin to wear the dress of right doings, that white dress, which hangs on the shoulders of loving Yehovah and loving others. And wearing this dress, we can then show up to Shavuot, which is when we enter into a formal agreement with Yehovah to receive the family name, thus forcing Hasatan to release his claim on us. Then and only then are we prepared to meet the king on Yom Teruah and go through the fall feasts of acquittal, moving in together during Sukkot and consummation on Shemini Atzeret. So there's just a little bit of a fun project for you to do with your kids to help explore the the festival of Purim and what it is truly about, and it should help. I don't know if the boys would like a Purim doll, but when I teach on Purim, and it's full of men and boys and girls and whatever, it's still very applicable. They totally understand. And I know I ran through that pretty quickly. We have more to cover here, so I didn't want to spend a ton of time on that. But I think your stories are so, very, very, very important in sharing with each other and in coming together to understand, you're not alone. You're not, what you're dealing with, other ladies are dealing with, other families are dealing with. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, especially when you get into this Melchizedek track and understanding. It is extremely narrow. It is definitely a small amount of people. It's a remnant that understand this, and then the fellowship is pretty narrow. But here we got lots of fellowship, so we're gonna go with that. All right, we are going to talk about feast philosophy. So, and I know I say the word "so" a lot, and I'm really sorry. During school at Boise State University, I tried really hard when I would have presentations to give to not use that word. It becomes very hard to not use that word when I don't have anybody in the audience. So there we go. Their heart longs for fellowship, that they can't wait to take the barriers down that are between us and get to have the fellowship that they want with us, because they are relational beings. We're created in their image. We're relational because they're relational. So I know that they desire that a lot and can't wait for this whole war to be over and the restoration to to come. All right, so we're going to talk about feast philosophy. So what is your feast philosophy? This is something that is important to consider as you begin to look at the upcoming feast. You have Purim, and then we're going to start a whole brand new year cycle. We start with Rosh Hashanah, and we head down through the spring feast to the end of the spring feast, so Shavuot, and then through a summer break kind of thing, and then into the fall feast, and then into the winter festivals again. So you're going to practice on Purim. If you've never done this before, you're going to practice on Purim. But here is, I wanted to talk for a second about two kinds of feast philosophies. All right, these are very, very important. How do you approach the feasts? So, yes, we're going to. So, how do you approach the feasts? All right, there is one way. It's called the minimalist. Yes, also known as a reductionist. And this is something that Isaac and I came to understand way back when we were trying to get people to celebrate with us. There is this mindset, and the mindset is that this person looks at what the required minimum is and does only that. This person at the core is basically a very unhappy person. This person is not keeping the spirit of the law. Okay, so the minimalist, the reductionist, only wants to do only what is in there. And I'm not advocating that you go create your own festivals and your own feast days and do that. That's not what I'm advocating. But when there are the beautiful festivals of Purim and Hanukkah, and that are in our scriptures, actually, and Israel did celebrate them and should be continuing to celebrate them through the Melchizedek understanding, through the eyes of love, and what does Papa have in mind for us? A minimalist will say, no, I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. A minimalist would only give a feast half their energy kind of thing. All right? Well, there's this, the minimalist would say, I don't keep the lesser holidays of Hanukkah, new moons, Rosh Hashanah, Purim, because they are not one of the 7 commanded in the Torah. But we're going to look at that, because they actually are commanded. So not in the Torah, but in the scriptures. All right. Then there's the second kind of a feaster. I call it the extravagant lover. So I equate it to a woman in love. So a woman in love is basically unstoppable, right? She will do anything for her husband or her boyfriend or the man that she wants, right? She's unstoppable. Like, she'll put up with a lot of stuff because she loves a guy, right? I've been there. I've done that. Another part of I've had like 12 lives, 13 lives, and part of that life was, a lot of abuse, and someday maybe we'll chat about that. But I did a lot of things because I was in love. That's just, no matter what he did to me, I was in love. So a woman in love is unstoppable, and I know that Yehovah made her that way, and there's tons to unpack there. But one who loves extravagantly is one who is truly happy. All right? This person is an absolute beautiful light because they are so in love with Yehovah that their light shines so bright. There's no darkness there at all. It's not a dark kind of light. It's not a minimalist. It's not a, micromanaged, what do you call that when you hold tightly to something and you don't share it, where you hoard things, this sort of thing. Extravagant means you give, and you give like Yehovah gives. All right, the extravagant lover will say, this is something, a philosophy of the extravagant lover. An extravagant lover would not want to miss out on another opportunity to meet with their lover so that they could discover more about his heart and how to live in rhythm with him, how to live this covenant rhythm with him. So an extravagant lover is so excited that there is more opportunities to meet with him. All right, so those are the two kinds of types of feast philosophies that we have noticed out there. All right, so did you know that Yehovah has a feast philosophy? Yes, you find it in the scriptures, and I am just kind of scratching the surface here of this. So in Isaiah 58:13, we see him say, You will be called repairer of the breach, the restorer of the streets in which to dwell. I like that, the restorer of the streets in which to dwell. So I think, the restorer of the path, the restorer of the way in which we are to walk all the time, to dwell. If because of the Sabbath you turn your foot from doing your own pleasure on my holy day and call the Sabbath a delight, there it is. His philosophy is he wants you to call the Sabbath a delight. He believes that Sabbath or Shabbat should be a delight. If you call it the holy day of Yahovah honorable and you honor it, desisting from your own ways, from speaking or seeking your own pleasure and speaking your own word, then you will take delight in Yahovah. And I will make you ride on the heights of the earth, and I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father, for the mouth of Yahovah has spoken. So in this text, we can see that part of his philosophy is delighting, right? We need to be delighting in it. He wants us to delight in it. All right. Deuteronomy 28:47-48. This is the next two verses Isaac found that he liked. It says, because you did not serve Yahovah, your Elohim, with joyfulness and gladness of heart for the abundance of all, therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom Yahovah will send against you. And this is a really interesting verse. I just love this, Isaac, that you found this, because he's talking about joyfulness and gladness. This is part of his feast philosophy, is having joyfulness and gladness. You're serving him with joyfulness and gladness of heart. And interesting, it says, for the abundance of all. And I haven't dug into the Hebrew on this, but when I just read this straight out like this, I instantly think for the abundance of all. So the idea of that you are going to give of yourself with joy and gladness. You're going to serve up Yehovah's ways for the abundance of all, for other people to be full and to feel Yehovah's abundance on their life through his feast rhythm. And then the last part, therefore you shall serve your enemies whom Yahovah will send against you. So because ancient Israel did not celebrate with delight his ways, did not walk in joyfulness and with gladness in his ways for everyone's sake, then he said, okay, fine, you're going to go serve other gods, and I'm going to put your enemies on you, and you're going to go into the nations, and you're going to serve them. And so in the context of that, I can kind of see him saying, you're not going to do this for me? Fine, go over there, and you're going to serve those gods. And we have. Almost all of us here have served, the pagan gods of Christmas and Easter and all the other stuff. So I really like that. Yahovah's another feast philosophy, another verse. It says Deuteronomy 26:16. And it says, this day Yahovah your Elohim commands you to do those statutes and ordinances. You shall therefore be careful to do them with all your heart and with all your soul. Okay, so his feast philosophy is that we'll be careful. So we kind of like guard the feast, we'll guard the Shabbats, and we'll do them with all our heart and all our soul. And if you look at Matthew 5 something, where Yahshua talks about the greatest commandment, love Yehovah Elohim with all your heart, all your soul, it actually says with all your everything. Whew! All your everything. That means you're going to give everything you have, every ounce of energy from the toes to your head. You're going to give it all, Yes, all your heart, all your soul. All right, so I want you to get your notepad out, or you can look at these slides later, whatever you want. But I am going to give you my feast philosophy. All right, so I know that in the scriptures there are so many more verses that help us understand what Yehovah's feast philosophy is, if you want to call it. This is just what I'm calling it. But I'm going to give you mine. I and my family have hosted over 200 feasts for the king. So we call it hosting. I consider myself a feast diva, a Melchizedek feast diva, along with my daughter Hadassah, because we are all in. My whole family is, but especially Hadassah and I, we are feast divas. And we have hosted a lot of feasts over many, many years, over a decade. And that's not even including Shabbats. Like, we like to have people over for Erev Shabbat. That's our favorite. That's not including all the Erev Shabbats where we've hosted and had people over. That's not including the new moon events that we've done either. So I think I have some understanding of a good feast philosophy and some wisdom to share with you today. All right. So the feast rhythm is of supreme importance. Why? Why do you think that the feast rhythm is so very important? The feast rhythm is so super important for you to live because it is where the rubber of repentance hits the road, ladies. This is where your repentance is most seen. Okay? He says we are going to be a peculiar people. This does not mean that you don head coverings and tzitzits and wear linen down to your ankles. This is not what he's talking about. Okay? He is talking about this rhythm that goes directly against society's rhythm, directly against the pagan rhythm. You know, when you live this rhythm of Shabbat, new moons, the annual feast days, the festivals, you might get away with doing it a few times in your closet. But once you actually start coming into contact with things in society that are in direct against Yahweh's rhythm, you have choices to make, and you are actually going to be speaking out loud, and you are going to bring, choices for other people to make because you are living this. This will call everything out in you. You have to understand that this is where your repentance is most seen. Of course, there's other issues. The food issue. Whether you're eating what Papa said you could eat or not. Are you taking care of the poor, orphans, and widows? But I believe all of those things are covered in the feast as well. All right, so bear with me. All right, so it's really important to celebrate the feast because the rubber of repentance hits the road here at these feasts. It's what we are to be doing with our life. It's what we are to be doing with our life. This will consume you. His rhythm will consume you. As I said, we have celebrated, every feast for the last 10 years, and it consumes us. It's literally like you have Shabbat, and you're preparing for Shabbat somewhere around Wednesday. Who's coming? What am I making? Do I have the ingredients I need to start preparing on Friday? So you're starting kind of to think about it, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. And then you enter Shabbat. You clean all day on Friday. That's prep day. Or not all day if you don't, but the idea is it's prep day. So you're kind of pulling in. You're figuring out how to set the day apart coming up. Then you have the Shabbat. And then you let the dishes go, you let the house get dirty, or whatnot, and then come Sunday, or the first day of the week, you're cleaning up from it for the next couple days, right? And then you have this cycle, you have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days in there that you can get something else done, but then you start right back again into Shabbat. So it really consumes your life, especially this weekly rhythm of Shabbat, and then when you get to the annual feast also. But this is what we're supposed to be doing with your life. Also, it is the mechanism that Yahweh gave us to teach us what they are up to. So he sent prophets into Israel, absolutely. And I believe there are prophets still. He's raised up people to speak into Israel's life and to call us. But this feast rhythm, the depths of all the feast days, tell us what they're up to. It is the mechanism by which he was doing like this, giving us word pictures, giving us shadow pictures of what would be, So it's a mechanism to tell us what Papa's up to. It shows us, when he's going to come back. It shows us the end-time eschatology. I mean, it shows us what Yahshua has done, the work of Yahshua from the time of being the suffering servant and the lamb, the sacrifice once for all time, and as what he's going to do when he becomes king. All right, and it's also, it's how we are to share the story and the truth. Okay, this is, and this goes into one of my other philosophies you'll see in a little bit, is that the feast should be a time of remembering the story. Okay. Okay, so the feasts are they show us prophecy, right? They're the lesson plan for our study. And I have to say, if you are a Melchizedek priest, then the Parsha is not necessarily going to be for you. The Parsha is a man-made thing, a man-made lesson study, lesson plan. You don't ever go into the rest of the scriptures. You don't ever read what Yahshua said. The Parsha is something that our brother Judah has come up with, and a lot of Messianic, rabbinical, or Hebrew roots people have embraced that. And I'm not going to say for a minute that the Parsha doesn't have some really cool things in it, and I think it does. But if you're depending on that being your lesson plan for study, then you're not following the rhythm of Yehovah, because He wants to teach you things in His rhythm, in the feast. This is your lesson plan. This is what you're to be studying. Purim is coming up. Study that. And then we have Rosh Hashanah. Study that. What's that about? It's about calendar. And then Pesach and then unleavened bread. You study those, and that's what you're supposed to be putting your head into, because when you get to the feast days, that's when all that study is going to come out in action, right? Okay. All right. It's life's rhythm. It's the rhythm of a priest. It's the rhythm that He wants Israel to live in. Is your life rhythm, because I say that because it's going to consume your life. All right. It's His holidays. It's His holy day. It's his rest days. So this is, Sukkot's like a vacation, supposed to be, I think. You have 2 vacations a year. You have 2 week-long vacations a year, unleavened bread and Sukkot, And so you have the holidays right here. That's something they're about. They tell the story. They tell the story. They give hope. They especially, the fall feast for believers, because it reveals what Yahshua is going to do as the king when He comes back and takes over the governments of the world and brings the Melchizedek administration here. There's so much hope there in the fall feast, and they remind us of who Yehovah is. His heart towards us. What extent did He go to get this covenant way, this path, the way of Yeshua? To what extent did He go to get us this way to salvation? I mean, it's incredible. The feasts also keep us focused. When you're consumed with a feast and you're celebrating all of them, you have no time for anything else. You really don't. I mean, we've been doing this for so long, and I think that it consumes you. It's like it keeps you focused. You don't have to think, oh, should I not celebrate Christmas? Should I not celebrate this for Mother's Day or Father's Day? Should I? I don't have time for all those other things. I don't have time for Labor Day. I don't have time for Memorial Day. I don't have time for Mother's Day or Father's Day. I don't have time for 4th of July. I don't have time for all these other things. Thanksgiving, I don't have time for any of that, because I'm so busy with His things. And I think this is one of the reasons there's so many of them, is He's like, okay, I know if I don't give you a whole lot, you're going to be like going off somewhere else, because you seem to have a lot of time on your hands. I think after being in the teepee, and coming down to town, to live, I just realized how, kids get in trouble because and people get into trouble too, because it doesn't matter how old you are, is because you don't have anything to do, like go out and plow a field so you can eat. Everything is too easy. You don't have to haul water anymore. You don't have to hook the oxen up. You don't have to chop wood in order to survive. Everything is so super easy that it's like handed to you on a platter. So we really learned, a lot of wonderful things out at the teepee when we lived in our wilderness time that had to do with, wow, if kids had, this kind of stuff to do, if they wanted to eat, they needed to plow the field. If they wanted to drink water, they needed to go haul it. It would keep a lot of people out of trouble. And I think this is what one of his points was with all of these festivals, was keep you focused. Okay, and then finally, it is a sign of our alignment with Him. What does He say? He says Shabbat is the sign of you being in covenant. So, you have the weekly Shabbat. You also have the annual Shabbats. So his feast rhythm is a sign that you are in line with him, that you have said yes to him, and that you will have no other gods, that you are going to follow him, and that you're in this betrothal type arrangement with Yahshua. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get pretty specific on my feast philosophy. All right. So have a pen handy, or like I said, you can go to these slides later. All right. As I said, my family and I have hosted over 200 feasts, not including Shabbats and new moons. Yes, I take family photos at Yom Teruah because that's when we're all beautiful. We're all like in our white. So that is a tradition that I have. I don't take our formal family pictures any other time of year. I do it during trumpets. Okay, first of all, I look at the command. So first of all, you have to say, what did Papa say to do? What did Yahweh Elohim say to do? So you look at the command. You study it, you study what he said, and you discover the commands that he gave regarding that particular feast, and then you do that. You apply that. That is the first thing that you do, and you do it in the light of the royal order. So no sacrifice is needed. Okay, so you can actually do the whole Melchizedek covenant because it doesn't have any sacrifices in it. Hello. Yeshua was a sacrifice for all time. Oh, don't get me started. Okay. All right. Then the second thing that I do is I honor Brother Judah with the idea that I look and I see what does Brother Judah do for this festival and the feast, because frankly it is the 10 tribes who were scattered into the nations who did not repent, and they have been dispersed for thousands of years, and it's Judah who came back and repented. I owe them a lot. I mean, I'm so thankful for them that they, held on to the Torah, that they held on to this feast rhythm, that they did what they could to be true to Papa. So I look at what Judah does, and I say, what do you do? And then I ask a couple questions. I say, will what you do help me celebrate the feast? And does it go against Scripture? And can I adopt it? So not everything that they do I can adopt, because some of it is just, a lot of it is full of leaven of rabbinical stuff, right? But there's a lot of stuff in there that does not go against Scripture. There's some stuff that does dramatically, and I don't adopt that. But other stuff, I look at the Shabbat, for example, I look at the Shabbat candles. We don't say the prayer over the Shabbat candles like our brother Judah does, because what they say is that Yahweh commanded us to light the Shabbat candles. It's a detail, but he never said that. So no, I don't say that same prayer that they say, but I love the candles. I love the idea that you have 2 candles, one representing Judah, one representing Ephraim. I love the fact that the light represents Yeshua lighting us, or the oils, the Ruach HaKodesh. There's so much beautiful symbolism in there. And having a beautiful feast table with candlelight is a wonderful thing. So when we say our Shabbat prayer, it's a blessing to Yehovah for giving us Shabbat, and then we commit ourselves to resting for those 24 hours. So that was just a quick example, but when you look at a feast, look at what Brother Judah does. That's what I think that's a good thing to do. But then adopt what you can and throw out what's not right. All right. And then as a Melchizedek priest, obviously no rabbinics are allowed in the feast that I host for Yahuwah. So I'm not going to push Judah's errors. As a priest of Yeshua, I will restore the heart of the feast. Okay, priests of Yeshua are into restoration. That's what we do. For example, again, during Passover, one of the rabbinical laws is you must make matzah within 18 minutes. Oh, for heaven's sakes, And so that's why a lot of people go and buy this stuff at the store, because it's kosher, or, a rabbi was there, it was made within 18 minutes, or whatever. I make my own. It's really good. But the idea is no rabbinics are allowed at the feast. So that's one of my feast philosophies. Each tradition is thought through. And what I mean by this is there's no traditions for just tradition's sake. I add traditions to the celebration that remind us of the deep truths that are found in the feast. So when I look at a feast, I want to say, okay, I have discovered this beautiful thing about this feast, such as the paper doll. I mean, yeah, this is a good example, you know. I mean, I'm like, how do I explain to my girls what Purim is about? How can I make it so that they can remember and take to heart what Purim is about? How Purim is about how to approach the king, how to prepare to meet the king. So I asked the Baruch, and I'm creative, and I got an idea that said a Purim doll, of course. And I'm going to dress this doll so that she's ready to go see the king, to meet the king in the fall. So that is what I mean by putting truths into traditions. Okay? When designing a feast event, I must delight in it. I must be delighting in it, or I shouldn't be doing it. He wants our delight, and if it is a drudgery, then don't do it. Okay? When we first came out of Christianity, I started learning about the feasts. One of the things that I heard very clearly was that Jehovah wanted to see Rebecca play in the feast. So he said, I want to see you delight in my ways. And what does it look like on you, Rebecca? What does my rhythm look like on you? Do that. That would please me. Just look at the feasts and play in them. That's what I did. So I must delight in it. It must be beautiful. So part of my feast philosophy is it must be beautiful. So therefore, no folding tables, no folding chairs, no paper cups, no paper plates. Now, I do say that for Purim and Hanukkah, I use paper plates and paper cups and paper ware. But for the 7 high or the 8 with the shemini on the end, for those and for Shabbat, no, I do all my best stuff. So it must be beautiful, and I'll go into this a little bit more. So it must be sustainable. Okay, I must be able to replicate it year after year, and this is something we're going to talk about next week. So it has to be sustainable, or I may not do it. And for me, I do like huge, and maybe you don't do huge, maybe you do small, but that's good. That's good. It's just got to be sustainable for you and your family. It must be a feast for the senses. So this also plays off of beautiful. I consider all the senses when I create a feast for the king. The experience must awaken the senses. So I think of a feast for all your senses, for your eyes, and for your nose, your smell, for your taste, for your touch, for your eyes, your ears. So sound and sight and smells and tastes and touch and textures. And when I first saw the word feast, I took that literally. I didn't have anybody telling me no. We were alone, and Papa said play in them, so I looked at the word feast and I went, feast, okay, feast means feast, Queen Esther kind of feast. I mean, she didn't woo him with as little as she could give. She wooed him by dolling up, by providing like an amazing atmosphere for him to enter into and eat, and I'm sure it was very, very sensual, all of that experience. So that's what I think. Yeah, feast for the eyes, for the ears, for the whole body. I also, one of my feast philosophies is I also must bring him my very, very best. I bring him my best effort. I bring him my best food. I bring him my best dishes, my best clothes, my best attitude, my best, everything is my best. Okay? I give him something that costs me something. So my feast philosophy includes this. It must cost me something. I will not give him as little as I possibly can. If this is where he's asking for me to put my energy, my focus, then I'm going to give it everything I have. Now one year looks different from another. Like Melissa was saying, every Shabbat kind of looks different, I mean, some years it's like full on. I've got so much energy. I have a lot of chutzpah, a lot of courage. I have people around me, so I'm feeding off of their energy. Other times we're all by ourselves, and it looks different, But I still give it what I can at the moment. You know, sometimes my love cup is extremely full and flowing over, and I've got so much to give. Other times, my love cup is extremely low or even empty. And so I will give whatever I can there, you know. I hope you follow me there and understand what I'm saying. Okay, it must be creative. All right, we are created in his image, which means we create like he creates. We make order out of chaos, we create, right? So in order to operate in his image as a true human being, I am going to be creative with this. This is the idea of playing in the feast, of him saying, I want to see what it looks like on you, you know? So I use the talents that he gave me on the king's appointed times. So the Yahweh has given us all gifts, right? Some of you have gifts that I don't have. I have a lot of gifts, and I am not shy about, you know, telling the world the beautiful gifts that Papa has given me, because they're gifts from him. I mean, why would I hide that, you know, in the closet or dig a hole and put it in the ground? I mean, I'm supposed to be sharing his gifts that he's given me, right? So I am going to use my abilities to celebrate his ways in all aspects, you know. And I wish sometimes I'd only been given one ability, because it'd be a whole lot easier, you know. But I have a lot, and I love it, you know, and so I give it all to him in all aspects. And the idea is that, you know, I've perfected some of them, and I want to pass them down so that new life can raise up and embrace it and operate in their giftings and in their callings. And we give glory to Yahweh when we do that. All right. Another feast philosophy that I have is the environment and plan must invite the Ruach HaKodesh to show up. All right? So the environment for the festival, for the feast, is very important. I do not shut her out, the Ruach HaKodesh, I do not shut her out with my agenda. Now, I have one. I have a plan. I have a schedule for the evening or for the day. But I give the Ruach HaKodesh room to show up and change things. That's super important. And right here, I remember what I was going to say before. I need another slide here. This is another thing that's very important. Another philosophy I have is that Isaac and I invite people from all over the board, you know, public people, friends, family, it doesn't matter, everyone who's in our area, or even worldwide, actually, because I'm kind of out there. We invite everyone to the feast. And, you know, I know that some people, some of the political mindset people, messianic, they will actually force you to go through kind of like a questionnaire kind of thing to see if they want you at their feast or they want you at their assembly, you know. And so it's man judging man. And I am not down with that, because who am I to say that this person shouldn't be here? This is based on a picture, based on a thought, whatever. You know, I really believe that Yehovah has honored the prayer that we have prayed almost before every single feast, is Yehovah, send your Ruach HaKodesh to bring the people that you want here and to keep away the people you don't want here. And so I have had numerous times, you know, half of the people that were supposed to show not show. And on one hand, it can be really hard on my heart. On another hand, I can be, with Isaac's help, you know, I can see that Yehovah was keeping away people that were poisonous, you know, to the event, to his feast days, people that he knew weren't ready, maybe. You know, maybe they weren't poisoned, maybe they just weren't ready to receive it, you know. So I walk with the Ruach on every single feast, you know, and if I don't do that, I feel like the feast suffers for me not doing that. Most of the time I do. All right, it must include, feast philosophy is it must include the kiddos. Yes, at whatever age, young, old, whatever, it must include the kiddos. It must include them in preparation and in the actual event itself, in the delivery of the event. My girls, for weeks, you know, will begin to prepare with me. So they're walking with Mama into preparation for his events. They get so excited. We pull out the boxes. We start to look at recipes. We start looking at feast decorations again. And all this nostalgia comes back. This is the attachment that I want them to have to Yahweh's ways. Okay? They have, I give them responsibilities so that they feel invested in it. So they begin to feel ownership of these feasts. and for example, last year at Purim, and it's a long story, I'm not going to tell it too much here, but Isaac fell during, right the day before Purim, he fell and hurt himself really bad off of a big container that he did recycling. He drove a recycling truck, and so he was on top of this container. It was raining. He fell off on his side, and he ended up having. He didn't have like anything broken. It was a miracle that he was as whole as he was. He didn't have a concussion or anything, but he drug himself back into the truck basically and drove himself to the ER that night, and came home and for the next 2 weeks laid on the Purim couch, But what Maggie and Hadassah did during that time was amazing. They stood up and they did the whole thing. I mean, they went and got the boxes, they brought them out, they decorated the whole thing, they cooked, they did everything. And they did this because I had been walking them into this rhythm. And they knew that mom and dad were in a bad spot, and they wanted Purim to happen, and they did it. So I thank you, Maggie, and thank you, Hadassah, for doing that. But it's got to include the kids, because that's the point, is passing it down to the next generation, right? Okay. Guests are expected to have manners at the feast that I host for Papa, okay? There are no swinging doors anymore. I've had enough of those where people will say, well, I only can stay for an hour. Well, if that's the case, then don't come. Well, I'm in the middle, something else happened, came up, so I've got to leave. And I'm playing a part in the play, so I've got to leave in the middle of the play. No, I'm not down with that anymore. The feast doors close at a certain time. And if you're outside that door, you don't get in. If you're in, you can go in and out. That's great. But I really want people to begin to prepare for that great wedding feast and when the door actually closes. I want you to learn to show up and on time get in before the door closes. So for me, after 200 feasts plus, that has been a huge source of frustration, is people coming and going at will. Not coming on time, coming, half hour late, leaving in the middle of it. It's just so rude to people who have put it on. So I don't care whether you pay or you don't pay, it's just rude. So guests are expected to have manners. This is one of my feast philosophies that has developed over the time that we have done this. And on top of that, along with this, parents are expected to control their children. All for the point of giving the guests a pleasant experience. So, disruptive children it's not a free-for-all. I don't let them scream and run all around. If that's the way somebody chooses to parent, when I'm a little old grandma, I can speak right directly to them and say, what are you doing? But right now, they don't want advice, so I just ask them kindly to remove themselves. So manners are extremely important for your guests to give you. If they don't, then maybe they're not invited back. Okay, I know I'm pretty strong on that. I go to the wall for some things, and that's one. I've had a lot of experience in this field. So I seek to have a full table, and the great word there is seek. I seek to have a full table. This is the goal, and so I invite everyone and anyone. I go to the highways and the byways and invite people to celebrate. I love the parable of Yahshua. The parable that Yahshua had of the great wedding feast, or the wedding feast, how there was nobody for the feast. They were all too busy. I got this thing going. And frankly, you're going to have, if you start inviting to the feast, people will say this to you. And they say it to me all the time. Well, I've got this graduation or this thing or that thing going on, and I don't have time for it. Or something better. They'll say, yeah, I want to come. And then when they feel like it's a open invitation to not show up, for some reason, everything else can trump the appointment that they have made with me to show up at the feast. So the feast table is, getting it full is a huge challenge, especially in this Melchizedek mindset, So we could go to that a lot, but here's another one of my feast philosophies is I put the same effort into it, whether it's for a lot of people or just my family. So I plan as if there will be lots and lots of people. I plan as if the table will be full. I even cook for the table to be full. But if it's not, then it's just for us and the king. So we will have leftovers for a long time. We have done this. But it's a gift for the king, primarily. Above all, it's a gift for the king. All right. I operate in a lot of freedom to take the initiative. This is a very big deal. This is very important. I don't need it to be sanctioned by an assembly to do. I don't need anybody else I don't need to wait for anybody else to obey before I obey. All right? So a lot of people wait for their assembly to do something. If they, I'll ask them, what are you doing for X and X feast? And they'll say, well, I don't know what our assembly is doing. Like, why don't you live as a priest and do it yourself? Why don't you live as a priest and invite everyone in to do it with you? I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be congregating like manure. We're supposed to be out there and fertilizing the land, right? Okay. Also, I answer to Yahshua. I compromise where possible, absolutely. So I definitely compromise where possible, but I won't compromise on really important things, even if it means I must just do it myself. Okay, so I want other people I want to work with other people. I want to create events, feast events with other people. I want to, do that, but I will compromise where I can. And there are some things that I just can't. I just have to go to the wall for. I can't have my family going to this feast that is not clean. If there's a lot of rabbinics, then I'm sorry, can't do it. All right, another feast philosophy I have is it must be meaningful. This is really super important. All right. Hadassah's like laughing over there. It must be meaningful. It's not just a fun time. It's got to be meaningful. It has to have stuff for people to chew on when they leave. Okay, so I have flyers and pamphlets. I always give a short, small teaching on what this feast is about, because, if you just say, well, I'm going to study up to this feast, and then we're going to celebrate it, as in not talk about what the feast is, not include traditions that help us understand what this feast is, you miss the point completely. If you just go out bowling or you just go out skiing and that is how you spend that day, that's not honoring Yahovah, because you have effectively done something that you can do any other day, and you haven't really set it apart as special, and you haven't spoken his name, given praise, you haven't talked about what that feast is. So for me, it's very, very important for the feast to be fun and meaningful. Also, it must be structured. Okay, to have a successful event with lots of people, it must be structured. You can't have a free-for-all. And I can't tell you how many times I have, entered into some sort of Shabbat assembly or whatnot from the Messianic crowd, and it is unstructured. It's either so structured that the rock doesn't show up, or it's so unstructured that it's a disaster and it's chaotic. I'm not into that chaos. So Yahovah, when he very first started creating, he creates order out of chaos, and I firmly believe that we are to operate in his footsteps and bring order to chaos. So I believe in structure when it comes to the feast. Another feast philosophy is it must be set apart. We eat things, we wear things, and do things that we don't do on any other time of the year. Okay, so I'm really careful with that. Like, we have sufganiyot only during Hanukkah. Okay, we have, let's see, we do, oh man, there's so many things. There's certain foods that we only eat during that time of year. And my girls know that if we look at a feast and we say, hey, let's add this food into it, they look at me with their eyes really big. Does that mean we can't have it any other time of year? Then let's not put it as part of the feast, because they know it won't show up any other time. I have a closet full of, half my closet is feast clothes that I only pull out during the feast. I don't wear them any other time, because I want it to be set apart, special. And I think we're down to the last one or two. It must be royalty worthy. So when I host a feast, it must be royalty worthy, as in, if the king shows up in person, how would I feel? I know that he knew I put my best forward? Would he know that? Would he be pleased? Would he know that I didn't have china sitting up in the cupboard somewhere that I didn't pull out for his feast? Would he know that I did my least? Or would he know that I did my best? This is royalty, people, that's coming to their appointments. It's their stuff, their times, their appointments that we're hosting for him. And I want it to be royalty worthy. And now we're going to segue into our final section. I use Yahovah's money for this, and it's called tithe. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going through that right now. What I'm going to show you is this is how you afford it. This is the plan that he has made for you to afford it. So Yahweh pays for his own feasts. Absolutely. I mean, dig into your tithes, but I want you to have this study. It's right here. It's on our YouTube channel, and you'll see me at a picnic table bench, and it says tithe. What does Yahweh Elohim want me to do with my tithe? And I want you to go watch that video if you haven't. I explain in depth with scriptures and all the other things about using your tithe money for the feast days. And I won't start it right there. You know, I was accused this last week of being a kindergarten teacher, and she can think what she wants. She's not here anymore. But I have a Bachelor of Arts and from Boise State University, and I've been a teacher a lot. But from the teepee to now, we went on, after we left Boise State University, I graduated down there. So at the teepee, Papa finally gave us permission to leave, and what we were going to do was going to go start Yeshiva College. I wanted to connect these kids because I felt like they were suffering. So we went, I went to get credibility, finished an AA that I'd started 20 years ago, and finished my bachelor's at Boise State University that I had also started 20 years ago. And on the Boise State campus, I started the Hebrew Roots Club, and I named it that because I didn't know how else I would get anybody. Trying to find just one person on campus was a major feat. But I started the Hebrew Roots Club on campus using government money, fund money, money from the government for the club. I actually used for celebration of the feast on campus all year long. So for one cycle, we did almost all the feasts there on campus with a handful of kids. Incredible time, but I spent much of my life doing that. Everyone at Boise State campus who knew me at that time knew who I was and what I was about, because every project I did on at Boise State was focused towards my goal of connecting these kids. You know, and then we left there. We sold everything we had of value. I felt so passionate about this, and bought a little RV, 21-foot RV, and the kids, and a dog and a cat, and Isaac and I began a tour, traveled around basically the West Coast, so down from Idaho into Arizona, down to California, and back up, seeking kids, seeking families, seeking fellowship, people that wanted to connect the children together. So, and then the course of events after that, we ended up where we are right now. But just wanted you to know that after the teepee, a lot has happened. My voice is going hoarse. It is 4:20, so it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. It was a fabulous show. I am so thankful that you stayed on and that you have stayed with me. I have an incredible song for you, so I'm going to play it. It's by Wayne Watson, again, out of this CD. And when I was in my 20s, I listened to the song over and over and over. I feel very called. I feel like when I was born, I was called to have a special anointing on me, just this fire that burns in me. And I want to share with you a piece of music that was very, very, it's Purim. It's a beautiful, For Such a Time as This. It's called For Such a Time as This by Wayne Watson. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. I'm going to basically say goodbye right now. And I want you to go be that new wineskin. Yeah, and accept the new royal priesthood order, that new wine that he wants to put in you so that you can love like Yahshua did. So I want you to do that this week, absolutely, and have fun preparing for Purim.